What will happen to me when I die? An excerpt from a talk by Vernon Howard given on the 6th of the 1st, 79 at 22 minutes. Student: Vernon, what happens to people that never have exposure to this class, this forum, or spiritual books of any kind? Vernon: what happens to them? They cease to exist. They never existed in the first place. I just mentioned that. They exist only in... let's see how many ways we can put it. The vast majority of human beings exist only, first physically. There's a physical body there. They exist as a thought about themselves, and then that thought can go into all sorts of varieties. They exist as a nice person, which means they're not nice. They exist as a person who's really going somewhere in this world. They exist as someone who is scared now, but when they go to church, they won't be scared anymore. People consist of tens of thousands of thoughts, of ideas about themselves. Thoughts and ideas, therefore, constitute the present identity, quote marks, of that person. Thoughts are born, appear briefly, and fade out, do they not? Now, the only way a person can keep his hope going, his delusion going, is by staying in a state of psychic sleep and permitting all his thoughts to come up, to go into a certain channel that recreates his accidental identifications of himself over and over and over, until he comes to believe in the lie about himself that he has built up. Upon death, the mind ceases to function. Therefore, as thought, his thoughts perish. Therefore, where is he going to be recreated? Is it clear to you that if you're going to live in eternity, you can't be a thought person? Because when your mind dies and thoughts don't recreate themselves, what happens to you? Well, I told you never existed in the first place except as thoughts about yourself. So when the thought ceases to be at death, what happens to you? See, even the question is wrong. What happens to me after death? You never existed while you were alive. If you understand that and you abandon your thought self by understanding the whole thing and have the courage to get rid of all the false notes, to get rid of these over and over, hardening of the kind of a person you are, I want my life, the whole confusion. When you die while you're alive in the physical body, then eternity lives on. God lives on. And you as a part of God, look, already you can understand this. This will all make sense to you. You, as being a part of the whole essence, capital W, capital E, whole essence, then you live eternally, but yet not you. Because you understood that you had no existence at all except in delusion. As you die to your delusion, the essence lives on. And don't you dare ask me to describe who you are after you die, because that's an equal illusion based on your unconscious fear of dying. And you'll never understand it because you're playing a trick on yourself. You want to continue after death. And look how all the religious organisations and all the phony philosophies play right into the hands of people by telling you who you are going to be and what you are going to be after you die. I thought it necessary to read that excerpt because it really is the most important thing in a person's life that they understand this. If we are only living a thought life, then we are living in constant agitation and fear and not living real life at all. It is a dead life. It is a slave life. I'm certain, like me, you want to live your own life and be free of pain and suffering, no matter what happens, to be a sovereign human being. We don't need to live a life dictated to us by our conditioning, by our programming, by society, friends and family. To be real is to be free, to live life without the burden of the past, burden of the future, and the heavy burden of delusion. To be false is to live with unseen chains, which means to live a life of pain and suffering. We don't have to live that way. There really, really, really is a way out. Who would choose to be a slave? No one. Only the thought self, the invented personality, the imposter that has stole our true life would choose slavery. That is the only way it can exist, by taking over our life. Through these teachings, we can learn to replace this imposter with reality, truth, with seeing, understanding, which is authentic love. But we have to go through hell first. We must see the bad in order to see the good. Vernon tells us when the prisoner is safe in his cell, the prison guards don't take any notice. He's well locked up and in chains. The minute the prisoner tries to escape, the guards spring into action and charge. Escaping our mental chains is like this. It gets much, much worse before it gets better. But always remember Vernon's phrase, all who persist arrive. This is no joke, people. I don't know how long it takes to dethrone this dark imposter which has stolen our lives, and that really doesn't matter. What does matter is that we begin the inner journey as soon as possible. We don't know how long we have left to live, and as you know, many of our loved ones have departed already, never knowing what they could have had. There is a way to live in this world and not be distressed by anything that happens. A free mind can have 1 foot in and 1 foot in heaven for eternity. Once we level up, there's no going back. We deserve it. It's our birthright.